Director Hurst, we have two sides of the house, the operation side and the capital side of the house. PFC is exclusive to the capital side of the house. We currently have authorization to collect PFCs through August of 2013. So when I talk about the $9.6 million in future PFCs, we will get authorization for that either later this year or early next year, but that specific collection will not begin until September of 2013.
Okay.
And we typically get somewhere in the area of $6 million a year in PFCs. The projects are identified in advance with the FAA. Their eligibility is reviewed and approved. It's done in consultation with the airlines, and then the FAA ultimately sends you a record of decision for collections.
And so, Ron, in addition to the funding for Phase 1, you all will be saving money, $35 million for a capital fund.
Correct.
And then I see that you've got $100 million, $7 PFC. So that's an increase that you all hope to see in the future from
Yes.
450 to 7.
That is correct. And as we said before, the last PFC was increased, I believe it was in 2000. And there is legislation pending today before the House and the Senate. In the House version of the AIP reauthorization bill, it's $7.50.
Okay.
As I understand it, the view of the Senate is that may be a bit of an overreach, and so they will ultimately compromise in something lower than the 750 or not. It's hard to predict how the political winds blow, but we have a very good sense that it will be increased. The PFCs, or the AIP reauthorization, happens every 4 years. And so we get at least 2 more bites at the apple, the airport industry does, to increase the PFCs to, at a minimum, the net present value of 450 in 2010 back to 2000 when it was originally issued.
So it's unlikely that would ever disappear entirely.
No, it is extremely unlikely it will disappear, and one of the reasons why the PFCs came into existence in the first place is because absent the PFCs, then you are totally dependent on the financial strength of the airlines and their ability to pay for your projects. And so airports, going back into the 90s when this came into existence, said, no, we need to have our own independence, and we need to be able to serve our market, because the airlines are here because it's a successful market. And that successful market should drive the service, the amenities, and the facilities for that market that they deserve, not an airline's ability to pay. So that's how that came into existence. It has been extremely successful nationwide, and it has, although there's some disagreement with the airlines on it, some reasonable professional disagreements, I'm of the opinion, and as are many of my peers, that this has removed a significant burden on the airlines.
Well, congratulations to both of y'all. This is very exciting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ron and Bob, I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask, and maybe one of them is a follow-up on that. If you would, going back to the PFC funding of $23.5 million, that is under your current authorization, is that correct? Of the $4.50.
That is correct.
And then the future is what you anticipate starting in 2013?
That's correct.
And the federal grant money, is that, I noticed you mentioned in your presentation that you received $15 million so far in grants. Is that a portion of that $17 million?
We actually have received authorization for the full 17.4. We started off with approximately $6 million for video enhancement and CCTV with TSA.
I thought it might be good if you kind of elaborated for everyone what that's a nice sum of grant funding, and I think it'd be helpful for us to know what all is being funded with that money.
Yes, as I said, there was $6 million that we received originally for CCTV in assistant upgrade, closed caption, security systems throughout the terminal and also on the perimeter of the terminal. TSA looked at our design for the inline system, and fortunately to American Investment and Reinvestment Act, they were able to come forward initially with $9.5 million for the inline system, the guts of the system. The baggage belts, the motors, the technology, the computerized systems, all of that help make that work. They don't pay for the envelope, the building, and so they don't pay for a number of the other issues, but they did help pay for the design cost and also ultimately the actual equipment that goes in for the inline system. We have gone back to them and made an appeal for some very specific areas, and they have agreed with our appeal. And they've recently, I'm actually telling you this before I tell the commission, but they've increased that by another $2 million to $11.5 million.
What are some of the other things that those grant monies are funding?